I haven't been able to talk about this watch without my mind every single time forcing me to hold up my hands, split my fingers like this, and say, live long and prosper. I don't think this watch is in any way associated with what I'm recalling, but it is the Zelos Vulcan. Let's dive in. I've got this kind of working theory for entry-level micro brand kind of watch brands. And my theory is, what's their thing? Marketing people would call it the value proposition, but I feel that that's far too deliberate for what I'm seeing. So Christopher Ward's, they have a value proposition. That's their general principle and that's their thing. Zinn's thing is submarine steel and tegumenting. It's a focus on supreme robustness. That's their thing. Studio Underdog, it's quirky dials. Swatch, it's not a micro brand, fair enough, but it's playful plastic. And Zelos, their thing is dial materials. They have aventurine dials, they have hammered dials, they have whirlpool dials, red aventurine, blue meteorite, and in this model, the 39mm Comet, you get a combination forged carbon polished tiger eye dial. The reason brands have a thing is because they do have to have some sort of way of differentiating themselves from the millions of other wannabe startups and microbrands. They need to stand out. They need to be seen as offering something unique. And in a world where most watches are round, bracelets come in 3 links, 5 links, or beads of rice or mesh, it's hard to really differentiate on the core design. So you play with materials or specifications. Now, the other reason they do it, it's because whoever is running the business likes that thing. So Elshan at Zelos clearly likes colorful dials with a lot of detail. A quintessential Zelos watch is a bold dialed watch. It's not for the faint of heart. I mean, you can find restrained options, but Zelos really want you to choose something with some punch to it. Now, the trouble with the thing is, sometimes brands don't know when to stop with the thing. It's like those restaurants that have those eat 1 ton of ultra spicy chicken wings in half an hour and you win a t-shirt competitions. And yes, it gets you some publicity, but few people rarely try. And done wrong, it becomes a little bit too tacky and too over the top. Sometimes I just ask, can you not just make some decent chicken wings for me, bro? Needless to say, I was a little bit worried when I was told I would loan a watch with a forged carbon tiger eye dial. Had Zelos jumped the Mako shark, or in this case, the Comet? Well, we'll find out. The diameter is 39mm. The lug-to-lug length is 45mm. The thickness is 7.6 millimeters without the crystal, 9.4 width. The case is 316L stainless steel. Lug width is 20 millimeters. The movements inside are either Swiss ETA or Peugeot 7001 movements with reworked bridges. The water resistance is 50 meters. It has a box sapphire crystal and a rear display sapphire caseback. The loom is Super Luminova BGW9X1. The strap is also in stainless steel. It's polished with brushed surfaces. It's tapered from 20 to 16 millimeters, and it's got an external button quick adjust clasp mechanism. And the price is $1,999. I know that more than half of people watching this video are not subscribed. If you are one of those people, please consider clicking that subscribe button below. On this channel, I talk about watches and everything watch related. If you want to share that with me, click subscribe. Thanks a ton. Zelos ships the watch in a cardboard box with a 3-slot watch roll. The innards are a little bit stiff and cardboardy, and it doesn't feel quite as premium as a $2,000 watch would imply. I might have gone for a single slot and then upgraded on the materials to make it a little bit more soft and premium feeling inside. Now, to the watch. This is one of those angular watches. The case has relatively thin lugs, which are pretty sharply beveled. Style-wise, it's similar to something you'll see on the Formex Reef models. Also, it's similar to a bit of what you get style-wise in terms of the Planet Ocean. We're only talking style, don't worry, we're not comparing qualities here, but just pure style. It's not a soft and round case. This is a technical and more futuristic case. Think DeLorean and, Lamborghini Countach, not Ferrari or Porsche. The lugs come across as short, they're small, they're thin, so the 39mm central case is actually quite prominent. The bezel itself has got a relatively high polish. It's not overly thick in the classic sports watch kind of way, so it doesn't call attention to itself like a Club Sport or an Aquaterra bezel does. The crown has a little bit of flair to it. It's solid, it's pleasant to hold. The dial, of course, is the main attraction. This is why you get the watch. We've got an outer chapter ring with indices and markers for the minutes and the minute time printed at 5-minute intervals. One step in and you've got the forged carbon dial, and it's exactly what you would expect. It's got that wavy gray black marbling to it that you kind of associate with forged carbon. The 12, 3, and 9 are applied as numerals, with the other hour markers having applied rectangular plots with an orange lume inset. In the center, you have the tiger's eye. It's one of my favorite stones. I've always liked tiger's eyes, and you've got your sub-second style as well. And the tiger's eye is mirror polished and incredibly crisp. It's flat and as smooth as I think it can possibly be. The hands have a little bit of cutout at the center, exposing even more of the dial. The rest of the hands have that orange fill, which matches the tiger's eye really well. There's the Zelos applied logo at 12 o'clock and nothing more. The back of the case reveals a slightly small movement for the case. This is a thing that's becoming more and more of a nitpick for me. I dislike getting a watch where the movement in the display case back feels undersized, and it does here. But this is a very nicely done movement. Under $2,000, you see a lot of Selitas with the obligatory custom rotors and a couple of blued screws. Here you do get more. The movement has this carbon black look to it that you also see in some in-house Yema movements. There's a decent amount of bridge work which exposes pretty much all the inner workings of the movement. It's got the barrels, the gear train. It's really nicely done, and the brass gears really pop against the blacked out bridges. If there is one complaint, it is that the movement feels a little bit cramped behind the display glass. The bracelet is thin and it's really tightly machined. On my little jingle jangle scale of SKX on the one hand to a Nautilus on the other, I think this is a solid 7. The bracelet itself reminds me a bit of the new Rolex Ground Scrounger bracelets. So it's flat, it's highly beveled, Jubilee style, and it's got the second and fourth links which have received a high polish. The rest is vertically brushed. There's no play whatsoever between the case and the bracelet. The clearances, the tolerances are really, really precise. The bracelet also has a quick release. It's not a high-tech solution, but it is a tried and true one that really works. The quick adjust is similar to the mechanism you'll find on a Mozo or a Lange Odysseus. So you press the logo on the clasp and then you can adjust back and forth. The bracelet is really well milled. They've opted for a brushed center and polished sides. And that's my preference because it minimizes the visibility of scratches. The things I like, the finishing of the dial is top notch and it's really well done from a technical perspective. The case is also really well finished for this price point. Where there is polish, it's really decent. Edge retention is decent as well. The clasp for the bracelet is excellent, and the addition of quick release is also something I really appreciate. The movement feels smooth, and it's actually one that I would pay to look at. We're not talking about high horology, but it is and does have some nice touches. So everything also sits really, really well, and it's a really balanced design. The things I don't like I said, the movement does feel cramped back there. It's not a huge deal, and I can't expect a $2,000 watch to have an edge-to-edge display case back like a IWC Portuguesa, but it would have been nice with a little bit more room to breathe and maybe a larger movement. Not that it's easy to find, but it would have been cooler. The bracelet is also a little bit on the sharp side. It's not going to cut you or anything, but all those angles make for something a little bit towards the end where you do feel things digging in if you've sized the bracelet incorrectly. As for the dial, I have this feeling that I could probably do without that outer chapter ring with the printed indices. It feels misplaced to me. I also do question for myself if this would work as a daily wearer or it could be more of a kind of a special occasion kind of watch. Personally, I often shy away from special occasion type watches because my experience is that just means I want to like it, but I'll never actually use it anywhere as regularly as I try to convince myself that I will. But I like the dial. I really do. I don't think I just do special occasions. I can see this watch potentially getting a decent amount of wrist time. But we have to be honest, and that is, it's not for everybody. There's a reason the most popular watches in the world usually either come with a black or a blue dial. And I spoke to a brand the other day where they shared some percentages, and the drop-off to white and to green is huge. Red barely registers, for men at least, and forged carbon and tiger's eye is, at least in terms of Western sensibilities, going to be a rarer choice. But Zelos is for that kind of statement look, something that sets itself apart. It's the person that finds a regular plain Monta SkyQuest unbelievably dull. I've got this image of someone who also wears Paul Smith. Velvet loafers, floral shirts. I just don't see the two-piece navy blue suit guy wearing this watch, although it would probably pop quite well for a combo like that. But it is, as far as I can tell, for that kind of dash of color kind of personality. This is probably going to skew younger, and it's someone that wants not a watch that blends in, but one that tells a bit of the story about them. So what can I get instead? I can get a Formex Essence. The design language is very similar. Formex also have a thing about dials. Formex will get you a chronometer certified movement. It's not as pretty to look at, but spec-wise, it is a better option. The overall case and bracelet machining are going to be very close to each other, but I would give it to Formex, but there's not a lot in it. The Zelos, though, is both in terms of case and dial together more striking than the Essence. I personally prefer the form factor a little bit more. You could also consider Nomos Club Sport. It addresses the same sports watch space, but it's a much shinier, but also more conservatively designed option. Costs a whole lot more. You get a significantly better movement, in my opinion, but the clasp is actually inferior. This is one of the places where you see some of these micro brands giving you a lot for your money. In terms of overall finishing, there are different stylistic choices, of course, but they are comparable. Now, not a sports watch, but the Zodiac Seawolf, it's got some of that pizzazz as well. It costs about the same. There, I'd say you get more for your money in the Zelos. Movement, dial, bracelet. Zelos is clearly ahead there. So, yeah. So what do you expect? What do I expect for $2,000? I expect the dial to be excellent. I get that. I expect easy adjust and quick release. I get that. I expect a solid movement with some level of embellishment. I get that. I expect a great wearing experience, and I get that, except maybe for the sharpness. I expect some level of originality and not just some off-the-shelf homage design, and I get that as well. At the end of the day, the big question for you will be, do you like the dial? If you do, then it's a super compelling option. That's the reason you'll buy this watch, and it's the reason you'll keep coming back to it. For me personally, it's a nice watch, and one of those I'll refer back to on occasion because of its very distinctive thing. Zelos did a thing. It's not for the masses, but for those people who it's for, it's a brilliant little option. That's what I had this time around. Share your own thoughts in the comments. Stay classy. Like, subscribe. Cheers.